Bruno, você pode só dar uma mão em relação aqui, ó, durante a reunião, botar e tirar a música? Sim. Deixa eu te mostrar. Pause aqui. Só que a hora que você mudar essa window, você precisa voltar para ficar para ela passar os slides. Só dá um clique de novo aqui. Nessa bem gordinho.
So let's start with our initial prayer. Dear Lord, dear Jesus, and spiritual guides of our spiritual center, one more Sunday that we are here, one more day that we have decided to come to be with our brothers and sisters, that we have decided to study, to learn, to try and understand the examples that the Master gave us. We are thankful, Lord, for our health, for the possibility of being here today. We are grateful for the privilege of being here, for the privilege of having access to this well of information that is Spiritism. And we pray, Lord, that we might be wise. We pray that we may not just learn, but also feel and live all the teachings that Jesus left us in the gospel and that were later better explained through Spiritism. May we have a blessed and fruitful day. So be it. You can read the song for now. I would like to invite you to close your eyes again, and I will ask you just a few questions, just for us to reflect on a few questions before the lecture. And then we'll go back to these questions at the end and see if the answers are different. So, do I know myself? Do I know what I am or what I am not capable of doing or feeling? Do I reflect on my actions before I do something? What about after? In what ways can I be fraternal to my family? In what ways can I be fraternal to my friends? In what ways can I be fraternal to strangers? In what ways can I be fraternal to my enemies? Okay, let's open our eyes. Professional pause the song now, please. Okay, so we'll go back to these questions at the end and see if we have any different ideas or if we can change any of those answers. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. This is in the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 35. Do you know by any chance when Jesus said that? In what situation, what was happening when he said that? He said that during the Last Supper.
I don't know the words. I
Oh.
say the dinner.
You can say in Portuguese, I'll help you. Okay, so
dinner. I don't know.
yeah, Last Supper. Very close.
Yeah.
Very close. So Jesus said that in the Last Supper when he was telling all of the apostles how to carry on his example, how to carry on his legacy, how to carry on his message. So how can we carry on Jesus' example? By loving one another. Okay, so Jesus said that, and then in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 6, item 5, the Spirit of Truth says, Spiritists, love one another. That is the first precept. A precept is a rule, a commandment, a warning. Educate yourselves is the second. Within Christianity, you will find all the truths. The Spirit of Truth, Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 6, item 5. Who was the Spirit of Truth? Who is the Spirit of Truth? Jesus. Exactly. And he says, love one another. That's the first precept. In the Last Supper, he had already said, by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And then he repeats in the Gospel according to Spiritism. Now, this is interesting. If you go to BibleGateway.com, the New King James Version, because I think there are, I don't know, 70 or 80 different versions on that website. There are, if you search love one another, there are 21 mentions of love one another in the Bible. Most of them in the Gospels, but some of them are in the Old Testament as well. So it was there even before Jesus brought it to us, to love one another. My question, why? Why do we need to love one another? Come on, I know it's Sunday morning. Let's wake up. Why do you think we should love one another? Just because Jesus said so? He's the man who knows? Does it make sense?
To live in fraternity, because we are brothers. Live in peace.
Okay, what else?
Part of the charity, like the triangle.
Yes, yeah.
Like it's like charity, like giving charity your love to someone else, that love should be shared back to you, kind of thing. The cycle.
Yes, that's true. But still, You still haven't answered my question. Why should we love one another? Why should I do that? Why should I love someone who hates me? Why should I love someone who wants my job? Why should I love someone who doesn't even know I exist?
Because I love myself. So I give, what I have inside of me is what I give out to others.
That's awesome. What else? Guys, this doesn't have a right or wrong answer. I'm just looking for your reasons. What reason can you think of logically in your mind of why we should love one another? There isn't right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of your opinion. It's just to start a discussion. What benefits do we get from loving one another? From being fraternal? From giving others our love? No benefits? No, there's no point in loving?
Right.
Maybe because I understand that if I'm not perfect, the other person isn't perfect either. If I understand that my neighbor, to use a biblical language, if I understand that my neighbor is a child of God, just like me, we are at the same level. In theory, we have basically the same needs. Do I need to be loved? Do we need to be loved?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if our neighbors, family, friends, enemies are children of God, just like us, with the same needs, do they need to be loved?
Yeah.
Definitely. And who's going to love them?
You.
All of us, right? The same way we want to be loved by everyone, we should extend the same thing to others, right? It sounds super logical, right? Makes sense. Now, the next question. We know why we should do it. Now, the next question is, how do we do it? How do we love one another? By choosing the right religion. If I'm in the right religion,
No.
it clicks.
No.
By becoming a spiritist, because this is the place, right? Is that how we love one another, by becoming a spiritist?
No.
No.
Definitely not. By coming here every Sunday.
No.
That shows you love the person who's speaking. I like it. By teaching spiritism to others, by giving others the consolation that this is not it, that this is not the only life, that we'll have as many chances as we need to come back and do better and fix things and improve. Is that a way to love one another?
Yeah, but no.
It's a good thing.
Can be.
Good intention, right?
Yeah.
There's a good
Yeah.
intention there, no question about it. Good intention counts. Now, do we love one another by feeling? Like really feeling, not just knowing, but feeling. We are spiritists. What's the difference between a spiritist, a Catholic, a Muslim? And this is not a bar joke, I promise. So what's the difference? Yeah, what's the difference?
The set of line, I guess, your belief.
How do you understand the law, the Jews' teachings?
Okay, I will give you like a situation, and then you answer the question again. So I'll give you a situation. I'm Jane, and I used to be a Catholic. I went to church every Sunday. I gave money to the church. I took my children to Sunday school. I did everything that was asked of me. But one day, I decided that something was missing. And then a friend told me about the Spiritist Center. I went there. I love the ideas. The whole reincarnation thing is mind-blowing. I love it. I go to the Spiritist Center now every Sunday. I help them pay the bill, so I donate there too, because stuff isn't free. I take my children to the Spiritist Children's Education. And I love everything that I hear there. What's the difference?
So one you feel obligated to do things, and the other one you're doing it freely, I guess?
Actually, in this story, the difference is none. The difference is zero. I'm basically doing the same things in a different place. So there's no difference between a Spiritist, a Catholic, a Muslim, an atheist. The difference is not what we believe or what we know. It's what we do with the knowledge we have. Remember, Chico Xavier said, the only good religion is the religion that makes you better. Right? You don't have to be a Spiritist to be a good person. You don't have to be a Muslim to be a good person. You don't have to have any labels or any titles to be a good person or to love one another. It's in our attitude. So the things we study in Spiritism, they are mind-blowing. But if I only store the knowledge in my hard drive and I don't apply the software, what's the point? Nothing happens. It's just there. It's stored. So the Bible says, okay, 21 mentions in this translation, like depending on the translations, you will have a different number, but New King James is the most popular. So 21 mentions of love one another. Why would Jesus be banging on this nail so many times? Because that's what's going to make us different and better. So it's not being a Spiritist, it's understanding and living the knowledge that we are, on a basic level, all the same. Children of God. With the same rights, with the same duties, with the same obligations. Right? That is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it by, first, in the triangle, love, charity, and justice. We're going to learn to love ourselves. How can I love anybody else if I don't love myself? When I learn, and here we're not talking about pride or anything. We're talking about true, essential love. We're talking about the understanding that we are essential beings. That the reason why God created us was to be happy. Right? Do you agree? Why doesn't He give us the happiness then? Why does He make us work for it? If God created us to be happy, Why doesn't He give us happiness? It will not be done.
Because we wouldn't learn a lesson from life, I guess.
They're very close to what I would say. I would just use different words. We would have no merit.
That's
We
right.
would not have earned it. For example, when we say it like this, it's a beautiful theory, but let's think about practical terms. If God gave everybody happiness and we would be done, would it be fair? So again, love, charity, justice. Would it be just? Would it be fair, for example, for Paul of Tarsus, later became Saint Paul? Would it be fair for Paul of Tarsus, who was a persecutor of Christianity, who killed Stephen, the first Christian martyr, before he understood everything that Jesus was about? Would it be fair that he went to the very same place as Stephen? Would it be fair that Pontius Pilate, would it be fair that he, the moment he died, went straight to be with Jesus? Would it be fair? No. That's why we need to earn. It's a matter of merit. If God gave us everything, what would we be learning? Nothing. We would just have the entitlement. No. I got it too. So we are here to learn. And as we learn, we earn our happiness. And then it's true happiness. Because it was through blood, sweat, and tears. And we know how important it is. We value that. Right? Sorry, I have to coordinate my computer and the clicker, and not the best coordinated person ever, but we can do it. There's one, foolproof, let's say, thing that we can do for the how. We follow the golden rule. What's the golden rule? That's how you will get there. Through the golden rule, you love one another. What's the golden rule? You can say in Portuguese.
Amar todos como nós. No?
We need to bring the kids over. I don't know why, but here in Canada, kids learn the golden rule probably before they learn how to speak. So if you say the golden rule, all kids know. Treat others the way we would like to be treated. That's the golden rule. Treat each other the way we would like to be treated. Right? That's the safe road to love one another. If I treat my neighbor the way I would like to be treated. Are we capable of doing that? In general, are we capable of doing that? Are we capable of doing that within our family?
Yeah.
With our friends?
Yeah.
With strangers?
Yeah.
With our enemies?
Yeah. That's true.
We are capable in theory, but like right now, today, right now. Yeah, so it's something that we will get there. We will get there. But how? Work. Small attitudes. Small decisions. Little things that we change in our behavior, in our everyday behavior. And the 200 times a day that you have to be patient with someone. That you have to hold your tongue not to say something. Constant. It's constant daily work that will get us there. It's like a muscle that we actually have to work it. Okay. Oh, sorry. Here. Ah. So this talk here today was not based on, but it was inspired by our book club meeting that we had yesterday. It was the book about the book 50 Years Later. And the name there is Celia. Celia is the main character of the book. And today's talk was inspired on this book because Celia, I'm not going to give spoilers, I promise. Everybody should read, and we have it in English as well if you want to. Celia makes huge, but like huge, out of this world sacrifices. Mostly and mainly for her family. Have you read it in Portuguese? 50 anos depois? Yeah, me too. I read it again and I realized I had forgotten half of it. So she makes huge sacrifices for her family. And she goes through unimaginable hardships, hardships, difficulties. She goes through unimaginable difficulties and hardships. And throughout her life. But the example that she gives us of resignation. Usually we think of resignation as a negative thing, as a passive thing, as giving up, right? In English, it has this giving up connotation. Okay? In Portuguese, mostly yes. Spiritists are so tired of hearing it that they already think of it a bit differently. But in English, it has the giving up kind of feeling, like I resign from a job, I quit, I give up, I resign, I'll just sit down and wait for death. However, resignation is a very, very active virtue, extremely active, because you need to decide every time not to react, not to react, not to react. You have to decide every time if you are going to help your friends gossip about someone else, or if you're just going to be quiet. You have to decide every time if you think your boss is being unfair to you. You have to decide every time if you're going to pick a fight with your boss, or if you're just going to take a deep breath and do things the way you know is right to do. So even though resignation sounds like a passive, negative, giving up thing, it's not. It's very active. It's actively accepting the things we can't change instead of fighting them. Right? It's, for example, deciding not to sue someone because you think you've been wronged. So it's actually extremely active because we have to decide all the time to accept things that can actually be a lesson to us. And Sia gives the biggest example of resignation I've ever seen. Because in many situations, she could have done things differently that would be to her benefit, but she doesn't. Because she understands that if she does that, it's going to be better for someone else. She understands that her freedom stops where the other person's freedom starts. And that's resignation. And the thing is, and we were having this discussion, it's actually on our WhatsApp group. There's the link there, and it's recorded on YouTube if anybody wants to watch. I'm sorry, it's in Portuguese. But just, yeah, I was going to say, just how interesting. And we were discussing about this, that like her actions were so huge. And then we were saying, we're not capable of doing something like that. We're not capable of doing the kind of stuff she did. And I want to say what it was, but I can't. I'll let you read the book. So we were saying that we're not capable of that yet. And then the discussion turned to something a bit different. The real question is, what can we do? What are we capable of doing? Does everybody know the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Yes.
How is it in Portuguese?
I don't know.
A tartaruga e o coelho? Não, a lebre e o coelho.
I knew it.
But you know the fable, right? We always want to be the hare. We want to, yeah. Eu não sei, em português eu não know se é o coelho, a lebre, o coelho, que a lebre, eles, they bet and they decide to race. The tortoise, challenges the hare for hare is lebre. The tortoise challenges the hare for a race. And the hare laughs and is like, I'm a hairy turtle, are you serious? And then it's an Aesop's fable, uma fábula de Esopo. And then, like, the hare is so confident that she's going to win that halfway through the course, she actually falls asleep. And slowly and steady, the turtle wins. So we want to be Celia. We want to be the hare. We want to, like, jump right there. And we don't see that it's the biggest advantage is to be the tortoise. Slowly and surely, slowly and steady wins the race. I think I know that scream. So slowly and steady wins the race. So we are so worried about doing something huge that we don't do anything huge or small or medium or anything. We just keep looking at Jesus, at Paul of Tarsus, at Saint Augustine, at Saint Francis of Assisi, and Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi. Oh, they're my idols. Oh my gosh, I love them. I keep looking at them up there in that pedestal. They didn't jump there. Jesus didn't start as an angelic spirit. He started just like us. And again, it wasn't given to him. He earned it. He went through the same difficulties we go through in order to get where he is. Why do we want to get there with no effort? Small, slowly, and steady. That's how we get there. So it's not being Celia, but through the story, there are quite a few people who help her along the way with teeny tiny things. So instead of, thinking that I want to be Celia, when I look at the things that the small things that people did for her throughout her journey, some of the things are so small. And when I look at it and I try to think, I don't do any of those for anybody. How do I want to be Celia if I can't even be how do I want to be, oh gosh, which one is that one? How do I want to be Cinderella if I can't even be the little mouse that helps her sew the dress? Right? Start small and we will get there. And we know that we get there by following the golden rule. But right now, we're not totally capable of doing it. Do we understand why we're not capable? Or do we understand how we're going to become capable? Do you have any idea how you can become capable of treating your enemy the way you would like to be treated?
Knowing yourself.
Love you, Bruno.
Yeah.
Question 900. Oh, no, not there. Here. I knew I was going to do that at some point. Question 990. One of the most well-known and celebrated and important questions of the Spirit's book. What is the most efficacious method of ensuring one's own moral improvement in the present life and resisting the attraction of evil? And the spirits answered, one of the sages, the sábios of antiquity, has told you, know thyself. Conhece a ti mesmo. Simple, right? In theory, yes. Anybody who works in a lab or has done scientific experiments at school in chemistry, physics, optics, whatever, we know that paper is one thing, theory is one thing, but practice doesn't always go according to the plan, right? Then Allan Kardec knew that too, of course. And then he continues with the next question, there and there, which is 919A.
Where else?
Omar, oh yeah, oops, sorry. Then it's 119A. So he furthers the question. We fully admit the wisdom of the maxim. So we admit the wisdom of know thyself. Perfect. We understand it. But the self-knowledge is just what it's most difficult to acquire. By what means can we acquire that? So I know I need to know myself, but how do I know myself? And the answer came from
Augustine.
Yes, Saint Augustine, okay, Saint Augustine. And he says, do what I myself used to do during my life upon earth. At the close of each day, I examined my conscience, revealed all that I had done, and asked myself whether I had not failed in some duty, whether someone might not have a reason to complain of me. So, at the end of the day, if we ask ourselves, if we go back, try to do our daily review, and we think, have we done anything that would be a reason for someone to complain about it? Did we fail to do something we were supposed to do? And, don't get me wrong. These, and we have more, but these are very hard questions to ask because we need to be prepared to answer truthfully. We need to understand the difference between self-analysis and self-justification. If when I'm doing my reflection and I find that I failed in some duty, and automatically I'm thinking, no, but it's because of this, but it's because of that. I'm not analyzing myself. I'm justifying myself. Because I need to ask myself if I failed to fulfill. The question is not why did you, it's did you fail to fulfill? Because we need to be prepared to admit our failures. And it's not easy.
No,
because pride, pride is a killer.
Yeah.
This is the name of the prayer daily. It's not just repeat words. It's reflect and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Daily.
Yeah, and I can't change something that I don't accept first. So first I need to realize that I failed. And then I need to accept. Because if I justify myself, I'm not accepting my failure. I'm just justifying my failure. So I need to realize my failure, accept my failure, and then I will reflect on what I can do better next time. And then I need to decide to do different. Because I can reflect and think, I could have done this. But I won't do anything. Then I need to decide to change. And then I need to change. So it's 5 steps. And we call it PARDA technique. PARDA. P for perception, realizing. A for acceptance. R for reflection. D for decision to make a change. And A for action. And this is a technique that psychologists use, and it can be used to change anything you don't like in your life. So perception, acceptance, reflection, decision, action. Okay, and then he continued, no, where? Oh, I went back instead of going ahead, sorry. And then St. Augustine continues. It was in this way that I succeeded in obtaining a knowledge of myself, and in asserting what there was in me that needed performing. Okay? So the change, the action, again, we need to realize, we need to accept, we need to reflect, we need to decide, and then we act. So it was only in this way that he could realize what needed changing. Because if we justify, it doesn't need change.
No.
I failed because of this. Then there's nothing to be changed. Right? Then there's a bit more. It's a very long answer. I advise everybody to read. We have lots of books in the library, or you can just grab one from the bookstore there just to read the whole answer of 919A. Ask yourself these questions. Inquire of yourself what you have done and what was your aim in such and such a manner. What does he mean by this? When I do something, what is my aim? What is my objective? What was my objective when I did this? Did I achieve my objective? My objective was to make my friend feel better. Did I achieve it? So I need to ask myself whether you have done anything that you would blame in another, blame on another. This is a translation from the book. Whether you have done anything that you would be ashamed to avow is admit. So we need to ask ourselves, did I do anything I would be ashamed to admit? And again, these are tough questions. Good thing that we don't have to confess to anybody. But again, those are things we have to work within us. Because sometimes confessing to someone gives us the impression that done.
Yeah.
Okay, there, it's out there. I said it. Whatever. Right? Okay, but that just means we're just going to keep going the way we are. We're not improving. We're not evolving. In order to evolve, we need to change to the better. And in order to change, before we change, we need all these. Ask yourself also this question. If it pleased God to call me back at this moment into the other life, should I, on returning into the world of spirits, in which nothing is hidden, have to dread the sight of anyone? Do you understand it? So if God called me back to the spirits world right now, should I be worried that I'm hiding something, or that I don't want to see someone because of something I did? Another very tough question to answer. Okay, because in the spiritual world, nothing is hidden. Here, I can hide stuff even from myself. There, I can't hide anything from myself or any superior spirit to me. So if God called me back right now, today, should I be worried? No question. examine what you may have done first against God. And here, what are we talking about? What is to do something against God? We're not talking about the typical sin, pecado. We're not talking about the typical sin that people talk about. What would it be to do something against God?
Not obeying the golden rule.
One of them, disobeying any of the divine laws. Not being loving, not being charitable, not being fair or just, not being humble, like failing to fulfill any of the divine laws is to do something against God, because we are trying to break the rules. So we're not talking about, oh, I thought about I thought about something that is wrong, or I had a couple of drinks, or that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about trying to disobey the divine laws. Next, against your neighbor, and lastly, against yourself. The answers to these questions will either give repose, rest, descanso, to your conscience, or show you some moral melody of moral, some moral melody of which you have to cure yourself. And again, if I ask myself all those questions, and if any of the answers are negative, or like I have failed, or I did something against God, or I did something against my neighbor, if I answer those questions in the way that will not give me peace of mind, what am I going to do? Punish myself? No. I just admit that I need to change something. I have a moral illness, for lack of a better word, that I need to cure. And that's going to be cured through changing. Maybe the way I behave, maybe the way I think about something, maybe the way I do things, treat others. Infinite possibilities. Self-knowledge is therefore the key to individual improvement. But you will ask, how is one to judge oneself? How can I judge myself? Is not each man subject to the illusions of self-love, which diminish his faults in his own eyes and find excuses for them? So here he's talking about justification. So how can I judge myself? My pride is going to say that I'm not that bad, I'm not that wrong, right? And then he gives a couple examples. The miser, o avarento. The miser thinks himself to be merely practicing economy and foresight. I'm just saving for a rainy day. I'm not stingy. I'm not Uncle Scrooge. I'm just saving for a rainy day. The proud man thinks his pride to be only dignity. I'm not proud. This is dignity. This is true, but you have a means of ascertainment that cannot deceive you. So yeah, we can justify ourselves. We can find an excuse for whatever we do. So how do we know we are really self-evaluating? And St. Augustine says that there is a foolproof method. Do you have any idea what it could be? Any idea? Anybody? What could it be? A foolproof to know that we're not justifying things, that we're truly analyzing. Even simpler than that.
If we would like to, se você gostaria que isso tivesse acontecido com você.
Perfect. When you are in doubt as to the quality of any one of your actions, ask yourself What would be your judgment in regard to it if it were done by another? If someone else did to me what I did, how would I feel? That is foolproof. The whole treat everybody else the way you would like to be treated, that's how you measure it. Revert the situation. Would I like to be on the receiving end of my own actions? So that's great. All right. Endeavor also to learn what is thought of it by others. Ask other people's opinion. And do not overlook the opinion of your enemies, for they have no interest in disguising the truth. And God often places them beside you as a mirror to warn you more frankly than would be done by your friend. Sometimes friends just condone. They just agree with us. They just reinforce. Because they're friends. But our enemy has no interest in sugarcoating the pill for us. The answer continues, there's more, and in the end he talks about the Spirit's book and the questions on the books and stuff. Like I said, I highly recommend that everybody reads the whole answer. Because usually when you talk about question 919, everybody just says, know thyself. St. Augustine say, know thyself. But then he gives us a guide of how to know ourselves, what questions to ask, what to be careful about, what traps not to fall into. So it's really a how-to, it's a guide, it's a manual. But again, we have to be sincere and open and prepared to answer with the real truth, not the truth we fabricate. Okay, Bruno, can you put on a song for us? In the beginning, we did a little meditation with a few questions. And I'm gonna go back and I'll ask the same questions again. You didn't do it the first time, but you can do it now. So we're just gonna play a song and turn off the light. I will invite you guys to close your eyes. I will ask the questions out loud and give you a few seconds to answer them in your minds. Just for yourselves, no judgment from anybody. It's just to help us really reflect, just to ourselves. No judgment, no confession, no nothing. It's just for us. Do I know myself? Do I really know what I am or what I am not capable of doing or feeling? Do I reflect on my actions before I do something? What about after? Do I reflect on my actions after I do it? In what ways can I be fraternal to my family? In what ways can I be fraternal to my friends? In what ways can I be fraternal to strangers? In what ways can I be fraternal to my enemies? Now I invite you to keep your eyes closed as we do our final prayer. Dear Lord, dear Jesus, our model and guide, we thank you with our hearts full of joy for the examples you gave us. We thank you for your words in the gospel, but most of all, we thank you for your actions that proved the gospel you lived by. May we, Jesus, be able to follow in your footsteps. May we be able to analyze our actions. May we be able to finally be true to ourselves with no masks, with no disguises. May we be strong enough to accept who we are in order for us to realize what we need to change. May your guidelines show us the path to evolve, to improve, and to finally reach true happiness and complete peace of mind. May we all be able to understand, feel, and live your gospel. May we have a blessed week. So
Vai botar online? Só tirar pra